Hello everyone. I am going to discuss a portion from class 10 science chapter 8, how do organisms reproduce. In the previous class we studied about reproduction and the types of reproduction, that is sexual and asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction we studied different types of asexual reproduction in single organisms, that is fission, fragmentation, regeneration, budding, spore formation, etc. Now we are going to study about the asexual reproduction takes place in plants, that is vegetative propagation in plants. So that vegetative propagation means that is a method of asexual reproduction in plants. In vegetative propagation of plants, the new plants develop from the vegetative parts of a plant. So what are the vegetative parts of a plant? Root, stem and leaves are the vegetative parts of a plant. So the new plants are arising from these vegetative parts. This property of vegetative propagation is used in methods like layering and grafting to grow many plants like sugarcane, rose, grapes, etc. So here we can see what is layering and grafting. This is the diagram for layering. In this layering we can see a small branch of the lower branch of the plant is bending down, and it is a portion of that branch is keeping under the soil, and the tip portion is above the soil. And after 1 or 2 weeks later we can see small roots arising from this branch, and after that we are cutting this portion from the parent plant and planting it any other place, so it will grow into a new plant. That is the method of layering. Another method is grafting. In grafting, two plants join together and live together as a single plant. There you can see the lower portion of the plant which contains root, and that is known as stalk, and the grafting portion is known as scion. These two portions are cutting in a slanting position, and we are tying it together and it is tied together, and after some days we can see, if you are removing that tie, then we can see these two plants are joined together. The cambium of the two plants joined together and forming a single plant, and the new plant is arising from this grafted one, that is from the scion, and develop into new plant. What are the advantages of vegetative propagation? Vegetative propagation, the plants raised by vegetative propagation can bear flowers and fruits earlier than those produced from the seeds. So in vegetative propagation, the plants produced from this method can produce flowers and fruits earlier than those produced from seeds. This method is possible for the propagation of plants such as banana, orange, rose, jasmine, etc., which have lost the capacity to produce seeds. And the third advantage is the plants produced by this method are genetically similar to the parent. So they are genetically similar to the parent plant. So in vegetative propagation, the plant produced by this method is genetically similar to the parent plant. So these are the advantages of vegetative propagation. And this vegetative propagation, there are certain disadvantages also. In vegetative propagation, the first disadvantage is there is no variation. And the second disadvantage is if the parent plant has any disease, that same disease will be present in the new plant produced by vegetative propagation. So these are the two disadvantages of vegetative propagation. Then a plant which can propagate through leaves. We studied the vegetative parts of a plant are root, stem and leaves. A plant which can propagate through leaves is, that is an example is given here, that is bryophyllum. This bryophyllum, this is the leaf of that bryophyllum. Here you can see in this leaf there are certain notches are here. On the margin of the leaf you can see certain notches, and from these notches new buds are developing. So this is the leaf of bryophyllum. Here you can see on the margin of the leaf there are certain notches, and from these notches small buds are developing, and these buds are developing into new plants. Here there is a diagram also is given. On this margin you can see new buds are developing. So this is an example of a plant which can propagate through leaves. Next method of vegetative propagation, that is what you have heard about tissue culture. In tissue culture, we are taking a group of a few cells from the growing tip of a plant, and these cells are kept in an artificial medium where it divides and develops into a group of cells known as callus. This callus is we are transferred to another test tube which contains hormones. There the cells are grows and differentiated into small plantlets. And after that we can remove these plantlets from the test tube and we can keep it in soil and they will develop into a new plant. And this method of tissue culture is used to make ornamental plants. Then next method of asexual reproduction, we already studied that is spore formation. The spore formation already studied, that is in bread mold or rhizopus. Spores are developing and these spores are falling on a suitable substratum. It develops into a new mold. Here you can see a small slender thread-like structure that is known as hyphae. On this hyphae you can see the sporangium, and the sporangium contains spores, and this sporangium breaks and liberates that spores into the air, and these spores are covered by a thick protective layer to withstand any unfavorable conditions. When this spore falls on a suitable substratum, it develops into a new mold. So these are the various methods of asexual reproduction. In all these methods of asexual reproduction, we can see a single parent is present. That means the new individual is developing from a single parent and there is no involvement of sex cells. So this method of reproduction is known as asexual reproduction. So till now we studied about the different types of asexual reproduction. Now we are going to study sexual reproduction. So what is sexual reproduction? In sexual reproduction, there is the involvement of two parents, that is male and female. We studied that at the time of cell division, there is copying of DNA as well as the cellular apparatus. The DNA copying mechanism cannot be absolutely accurate because certain errors will form in that DNA copying and it will create some variations. In a population, variations are useful for ensuring the survival of the species. Sexual reproduction is the source of variation. The new individual gets recombination of genes both from father and mother. So there is recombination of genes the new individual gets, that is both from father and mother. There are two types of cell division and they are mitosis and meiosis. The two types of cell division, that is mitosis and meiosis. This mitosis is taking place in body cells or somatic cells and meiosis is taking place in sex cells. So in mitosis, here you can see the DNA or in a cell you can see inside the nucleus there is chromosomes are there. At the time of cell division, the chromosome duplicates. Each chromosome develops one more copy of the chromosome. That means in our body there are 46 chromosomes are present in a cell. So at the time of cell division, 46 pairs of chromosomes are forming and the cell divide, when the cell divide, each cell gets the same number of chromosomes, that is 46 chromosomes each cell will get. That is in mitosis, two cells are forming, each cell gets the same number of chromosomes like the parent cell. But meiosis is taking place in reproductive cells or sex cells. In meiosis, what's the difference is there is two divisions are there, that is meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Meiosis 1 is similar to mitosis, that is the chromosome number is first the chromosome duplicates and 46 instead of 46 pairs of chromosomes are forming and the cells are equally divided to form two daughter cells. Each cell is getting the chromosome number that is similar to that parent 46. But soon after that, the cell is again undergoes division. That is meiosis 2. In meiosis 2, what is happening means each cell, that is the cell which contains 46 chromosomes, each cell divides again into two and each cell is getting only 23 number of chromosomes. That means half the number of chromosomes. So in meiosis, from two daughter cells, finally 4 daughter cells we are getting, and each cell is having half the number of chromosomes, and these half the number of chromosomes present in that cell, they are all known as gametes. So in male and female, the gametes are having only half the number of chromosomes. At the time of fertilization or fusion, these gametes join together, and the 23 from father and 23 chromosomes from mother join together to form 46 number of chromosomes in the zygote or in the embryo. So there is re-establishment of chromosome is taking place in this fusion. So that is why in sex cells, that is in sexual reproduction, the sex cells, the gametes containing only half the number of chromosomes. That means only 23 number of chromosomes are present. At the time of fusion of these gametes, the embryo is getting that correct number of chromosomes, that is 46. There is re-establishment of the correct number of chromosomes is taking place. The female germ cell or gamete is the egg, and the male germ cell or gamete is the sperm. The female germ cell, that is the egg, is larger than the male gamete, that is sperm. Why? Because the egg stores the food for the growing embryo. So female gamete is larger than male gamete. Male gamete, that is a sperm, it is small and motile. Next, we have to study about the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. What is sexual reproduction in flowering plants? You know that flower is the reproductive part of an angiospermic plant. In angiosperm, the reproductive parts are located in the flower. In a flower, we can see there are 4 parts, and they are sepals, petals, stamens and pistil. So these are the 4 parts of a flower: sepals, petals, stamen and pistil or carpel. In some flowers, they contain either pistil or stamen. Such flowers are known as unisexual flowers. That means only one sex cell is present, that is either it contains stamen, or the male part of the flower or the female part of the flower will be present in some flowers. They are all known as unisexual flowers. And in some flowers we can see both the parts, that is stamen and also the pistil. That means male and female parts are present in some flowers. They are all known as bisexual flowers. Example of unisexual flowers, that is papaya, watermelon, etc. Bisexual flowers, example mustard, hibiscus, etc. You can see the portion what I told now in this screen. The reproductive parts of angiosperms are located in the flower, and the parts of a flower, that is sepals, petals, stamen, pistil or carpel. Unisexual flower contains either stamen or carpel, example papaya, watermelon. Bisexual flower contains both stamen and carpel, example hibiscus, mustard. Stamen, that is the male reproductive part of a flower, and pistil or carpel, that is the female reproductive part of a flower. Next, we have to study what are the parts of a flower. I will draw the diagram on the board. You can see that how to draw the diagram of the LS of a flower, that means the longitudinal section of a flower. I will draw it now. We can see the parts of a flower. The innermost part of a flower is known as pistil or carpel, and that is the female part of a flower. This is the innermost part of a flower, and here you can see this portion is known as stigma, and this portion is known as style. This is known as ovary, inside the ovary we can see ovules. And this portion, this is the stalk of that flower, that is known as pedicel. So this much portion is the female part of a flower, and this is the innermost part of a flower, and it is known as pistil or carpel. This much portion is known as pistil or carpel, and this is the female part of a flower. On this flower, there you can see a portion like this. These portions are all known as, this is stamen. So this portion is the stamen, which contains anther and filament. So this is the stamen, and these are the parts of a stamen, anther and filament. On this stamen we can see certain yellow colored dust-like structures, and they are all known as, these are all pollen grains. And this pollen grain is the male gamete, and the ovule is the female gamete. Then here we can see a green colored portion, that is known as, this is sepal. And the function of sepal is protecting the flower bud. And on this, above the sepal, here you can see these are all known as petals. This is petals, and the function of petal is, its color and the smell attracts the insects for pollination. That's the function of petal. Now, the pollen grains from this stamen is falling on the stigma of the flower. After the falling of pollen grains on the stigma, a tube-like structure is developing on this pollen, and it passes through the style and reaching the ovary. And this pollen is fusing with the female gamete, that is the egg, and fertilization occurs. So after fertilization, that egg, that ovule is developing into seed. So the process of fusion of male and female gamete is known as fertilization. So in flower we can see there is pollination process is there. What is meant by pollination? The transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma is known as pollination. And there are two types of pollination. So we studied that stamen is the male reproductive part and pistil or carpel is the female reproductive part. And what is meant by pollination? Transfer of pollen from anther to stigma is called pollination. There are two types of pollination, that is known as self-pollination and cross-pollination. In self-pollination, the pollen of the flower is falling on the stigma of the same flower. Such type of pollination is known as self-pollination. Cross-pollination is the falling of that pollen from one flower to the stigma of another flower of stigma of a flower of another plant. That is the falling of pollen from one flower to the stigma of a flower of another plant. That is known as cross-pollination. So what are the agents of pollination? The agents of pollination are wind, water and animals. Then after pollination, what are the changes happening to a flower. That means post-fertilization changes. What are the post-fertilization changes in a flower? First, the zygote develops into an embryo within the ovule. The ovule develops into a seed. The ovary develops into a fruit. And the sepals, petals, stamens, style, stigma, they may shrivel and fall off. So these are the post-fertilization changes in a flower. After fertilization, these are the changes happening to a flower. The ovary is changing into a fruit and the ovule is changing into a seed. The seed contains a future plant which develops into a seedling when it germinates. So the process of development of a seedling from the seed is known as germination. Here we can do an activity. We have to take a few dry pea seeds and soak it in water and overnight. Then next day we have to drain off that water and take the seeds and keep it in a moist cloth. After some time we can see the seed is sprouting. So I will show you how it is sprouting. I will show you. From the seed, you can see a small white colored portion is developing, and that is known as a radicle. Inside the seed, there is a future plant is there. A small future plant is there, and that is known as plumule. When we prick the seed with a pin in the center, that is hilum portion, it is dividing into two. We will get two portions like this. These two portions are known as cotyledons. And this cotyledon contains the food for the growing embryo. And this cotyledon, inside the cotyledon we can see that is a radicle. It grows down and develops into, it is developing into root system. It is developing into root system, and the plumule, it is growing into shoot system. So the radicle is developing into root system and the plumule is developing into shoot system. So these are the parts of a germinating seed. So this germinating seed you have to do in practical. There you can see you have to do that. You have to soak the seed in water and take the seed and prick it with a pin, and you can see these parts. Now we have to do a quick recap. We studied about what are the different methods of vegetative propagation, what is the advantages and disadvantages of vegetative propagation. Then we studied about sexual reproduction, that is sexual reproduction in flowering plants. What are the parts of a flower? What is pollination? What are the different types of pollination? What are the post-fertilization changes in a flower? And what are the parts of a germinating seed? Let me conclude. Thank you.